Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big rousing applause to our new president, Ed McElroy.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Ed McElroy's journey to become the president of a 1.4 million member union began as the son of a machinist and a candy dipper, living in the working class neighborhood of Silver Lake in Warwick, Rhode Island.
It was a small community. When we went to the same elementary school. We all went to the same church, and the parents knew each other. My mom had given me some old pictures, and I was looking at my first communion picture, and he was the altar boy behind me. I couldn't believe it. I looked at it, I said to him, I think he was stalking me or something. We got married when his first year teaching it. You couldn't make ends meet by teaching only. He had 2 second jobs. He was teaching reading, and he was doing the photography on weekends.
A law was passed in Rhode Island where teachers were allowed to bargain. The WEA was recognized as the bargaining agent. We got extra days, extra time, and less money. That was the great contract that was negotiated by the WEA. And we knew right then and there that we had to do something. We met a young fellow who changed what took place in Warwick.
Ed was a very easy person to talk to. You know, he was in the classroom at the time as a social studies teacher, and you could really relate to him because you felt like he was in the same situation.
Under the leadership of young Ed McElroy, the Warwick Teachers Union won the right to bargain from the WEA in 1969.
The night that we won the election, Joe McKeon, who had started the union, he was crying, and he said to Ed and Frank, he said, for years I've been trying to do this. It took you young people to show me how to get this union elected for this city. He was just like ecstatic.
Collective bargaining for teachers was not in existence when he began. They paved the way for a lot of public employees.
It was a learning experience. We had no experience. It was just, great working with Ed because he could scramble. When things got tough, Ed got calm and cool, and his judgment sharpened.
We knew that looking at Ed McElroy, he was going to be the new face of the union.
It wasn't long before Ed's successes caught the attention of the Rhode Island Federation of Teachers, and at age 30, he became president.
And there were problems, there were things that needed to be straightened out, and it's obvious that Ed was a person that could do it.
As president, Ed honed his innate ability to negotiate.
But Eddie was a real negotiator. You could go to church with Eddie, but in the meantime, he's negotiating with you.
Ed can say no to somebody with that cherubic grin of his and be very tough and get away with it.
In fact, I used to say to McElroy, the problem with you is you want the last nickel on the table. And he'd say, yes, if there's a nickel on the table, I want it. Well, before I came here today, I went to City Hall, and I got the last nickel that I hid years ago. So, Eddie, here's the last nickel.
Eddie was half Italian and half Irish. And believe me, in this state, that was perfect. Because he would go over here, and he would talk, and he would the gestures, and he would speak Italian. And then over here, he would be the Irishman. He introduced a whole section of the state of Rhode Island to Johnny Walker Black.
He brought a sense of humor, and he brought honesty, and he brought integrity to labor management negotiations. They were hostile in those days, and Eddie was friendly.
You can disagree, you can fight for what you believe in, but you don't have to make it personal, and you don't have to dislike your opponent, and I think that's definitely something that comes from my father.
While Ed was re-energizing the labor movement in Rhode Island, his role within the AFT was growing.
I want to say it was like 72, 74. It was when Al was first running, and Ed decided he wanted to be on the executive council. He felt that New England needed a voice, so he kind of went in and very brazenly, said to Al, I want, if not, maybe I'll just work with opposition or something. And I think Al admired him for that.
And then there were some times when Al Shanker would need to put the gavel down, and then it was who would get the gavel in, one of these tough situations, and his tendency was to give it to Ed. Al saw the potential that the local leaders saw in Ed as things developed.
That potential was recognized by AFT members when Ed was elected as Secretary-Treasurer in 1992.
I do remember sitting at the log cabin at the beach one summer, writing his ideas for how things could be changed in the AFT. And now you have the PPCs and you have all of that. That's part of a lot of his brainstorming of those ideas and putting them out with Al way back.
When Ed was elected AFT president in 2004, he continued to put those ideas to work.
There is no finer group of people, the teachers, school employees, healthcare professionals, public employees, and higher education faculty and staff than my fellow members of the AFT, and it's an honor to be among you and to represent you.
Ed's emphasis on organizing has brought 500,000 new members to the AFT under his leadership.
We've been the fastest growing union in the AFL-CIO, and it's been because of what we've done in the organizing arena with the support of Ed.
Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to Ed McElroy, the president of the American Federation of Teachers.
We must make sure that policies affecting schools and children are not enacted without first listening to those closest to the classroom.
Ed is really the consummate politician. He's a politician himself, and he teaches the world of politics by his actions and by his words.
Eddie had this vision about the legislative process in Rhode Island. At the State House, we have a reputation which was gained back then and continues now for being very truthful and honest.
Well, Ed McElroy is from Rhode Island, and if you're from Rhode Island, politics is one of our favorite pastimes, and it's no surprise to me that Ed McElroy would bring his same passion and concern and interest in politics to the national level.
First of all, Ed, thank you so much for your unbelievable leadership on behalf of this great union.
He's been a wonderful friend and advisor and a great leader, as all of you know.
Ed McElroy, it's nice to be with a president that I can agree with.
Ed's passion for politics is perhaps only matched by his commitment to the broader trade union movement, both here and around the world.
Steel workers and teachers, auto workers and nurses, factory workers and government workers, we all have a bond.
He knew exactly how he thought labor should move together. So when Eddie McElroy became the president of the AFL-CIO, I always pointed to that as the turning point of the Rhode Island AFL-CIO.
And then certainly as he's ascended to the presidency, he's made sure that the AFT is involved in all the critical issues that not only affect education, but affect workers in general.
Are we willing to work hard to get the right to organize?
The influence and impact of his presence will be felt for many years to come.
Whether it be the AFL-CIO, the building trades, the metal trades, or the Change to Win people, Ed's accepted by every one of them. So I mean, it's quite an honor and a respect for a guy who's had a brilliant career in organized labor.
For good quality education for all of our children, we shall not be moved.
You know, some people do. They rise and they forget, where they really came from. And he's still Ed McElroy, and he always, whether he was on the rank and file picket line, in the jeans and the t-shirt and the sign, or whether he was in a suit having dinner with the president, he fit in.
Like many of you, I have worn a lot of different hats in the AFT family. Teacher, union member, activist, local president, state president, and so on. I know what it is like to do your job and then to do your other job with the union, and for many of you, another job on top of that. And because you do all these things, the AFT, our union, is strong.